I think you're braver than you let on.
Got me growing 6 black tentacles.
At CCXP Mexico 2026, Prime Video dropped a brand new Spider-Noir trailer, and it did exactly what a trailer for a show like this needs to do. It did not just tease action, it deepened the atmosphere, expanded the threat, and made it clear that this series wants to be more than a gimmick built around a cool costume and a black and white filter. It wants to be a full-on crime drama with horror edges, emotional damage, and a version of Spider-Man who looks like he has been carrying a graveyard inside him for years. The biggest thing that jumps out immediately is just how committed this show seems to be to its own identity. Spider-Noir is set in an alternate universe with a 1930s lens, and Nicolas Cage's character is operating not as Peter Parker, but as Ben Reilly. That alone is enough to get longtime Marvel fans leaning forward. Phil Lord has already said there is a story reason for the Ben Reilly name, and the fact that they are holding that answer back tells me it matters. They are not doing it just to be clever. They are planting a mystery inside the character's identity, and that mystery fits the tone perfectly. The new trailer suggests that Ben is not just fighting crime. He is fighting the emotional wreckage of something terrible that happened to someone close to him. There is grief all over this footage. Not clean grief. Not noble grief. I mean the kind that warps a person, isolates them, and makes every decision feel like it is being made through pain. The trailer strongly hints that Ben has not been the same since the death in his life, and that trauma appears to be shaping everything about the way he moves through this world. That makes Spider-Noir instantly more interesting than a standard alternate universe novelty. I am not just watching a retro Spider-Man. I am watching a haunted man trying to function in a city full of corruption, monsters, and unfinished emotional business. That is where this show could really separate itself from the pack. The villain side of the trailer helps a lot too. Brendan Gleeson's Silvermane does not look like the kind of antagonist who exists just to throw punches at the hero in the final episode. He feels like a power center, the kind of criminal force who defines the atmosphere of the city itself. And then the trailer widens the board by highlighting other threats from Marvel lore, including Tombstone, Megawatt, and Sandman, played by Abraham Papula, Andrew Lewis Caldwell, and Jack Huston. That lineup tells me this series is not going small. It is building a web of danger around Ben rather than throwing him at one disposable enemy. I also like that the trailer leans into horror more openly than I expected. We get flashes of spider imagery that feel genuinely unsettling, not just comic book weird. There is a creepy sense of bodily transformation, a visual suggestion that becoming a human spider hybrid is closer to a nightmare than a fantasy. That matters because horror has always been one of the most underused ingredients in Spider-Man storytelling. The spider bite is supposed to be disturbing if you really think about it. Spider-Noir looks like it actually wants to think about it. Then there is the relationship angle. The latest footage starts to establish a growing connection between Cage's Ben and Lee Jun Lee's Cat Hardy. And honestly, that could be one of the smartest parts of the show. It is handled right. Noir stories live and die by emotional tension. You need danger, but you also need a connection that feels intimate, uncertain, and maybe a little doomed from the start. The trailer does not oversell their dynamic, which I appreciate. It just gives me enough to feel that a bond is forming, and in a world this bleak, even a small emotional opening can become powerful. Visually, the show seems locked in. Every frame I have seen so far suggests that Spider-Noir understands that style is not optional here. Style is the delivery system. If you are making a Noir Spider-Man story and the world does not feel soaked in texture, then you have already failed. But this trailer gets it. The shadows are heavy, the danger feels close, and even the action seems shaped around mood rather than pure spectacle. And yes, the web-slinging looks more aggressive and physical this time, which is exactly what I wanted. If this version of Spider-Man fights like a wounded detective backed into a corner, that is the right instinct. What makes all of this even more important is that Spider-Noir is not just another Marvel side project. This is the first real live-action Spider-Man television series, and that gives it weight beyond its own story. Sony has spent years keeping Spider-Man in live-action, mostly confined to film, so this move matters. If Spider-Noir works, it could open the door for more live-action Spider variants to get their own series. And based on comments from the creative team, that possibility is already very much on the table. That is where things start to get exciting in a bigger way. The Spider-Verse films proved that audiences are willing to embrace radically different interpretations of Spider-Man as long as the storytelling is sharp. If Spider-Noir can translate even part of that creative freedom into live action, then this series could become a blueprint, not just for more Spider-Man television, but for how comic book franchises can use alternate versions without making them feel disposable. I am also very interested in what the creators said about the future. Oren Azil hinted that this setting offers endless ways to expand it because noir storytelling naturally allows new cases, new clients, new crimes, and new layers of political tension to enter the story. That is a great sign. It means the series has been designed as a world, not just a one-season stunt. Even if Season 2 has not been confirmed, the format already sounds built for continuation. The setting matters there too. Azil pointed out that as the story moves forward from 1933, the financial and geopolitical tensions of the era create fertile ground for future storytelling. That is smart. It means Spider-Noir is not stuck in aesthetic cosplay. It has access to historical pressure. A noir world only gets stronger when the social tension underneath it feels real, and that may be the most encouraging part of all this. The show does not look embarrassed by its weirdness, but it also does not look shallow. It seems to understand that pulp, tragedy, horror, and superhero mythology can all feed each other if the tone is disciplined enough. That is a tough balance to hit. Too serious and the show becomes stiff. Too self-aware and the noir collapses into parody. But this trailer makes me think Spider-Noir might actually thread that needle. Nicolas Cage is obviously a huge piece of the appeal here. On paper, he always sounded like the perfect actor to bridge comic book stylization and old-school noir intensity. But what sells me most is that the show does not seem to be using him as a meme. It is using him as a weapon. He looks tired, dangerous, and emotionally cracked in exactly the right way. Spider-Noir premieres on MGM Plus on May 25th, with the full season then releasing globally on Prime Video in both black and white and color versions. That alone is such a perfect detail it almost feels rude. Of course a show like this should exist in black and white.